Smith throws the ball upfield, open in the end zone, and it's going to be a touchdown.
Oh, he wasn't down! He's going all the way! That's a touchdown!
Welcome to tonight's live coverage at WCTV's first ever sporting event, covered live from Wilmington High School. Tonight the Wildcats take on the Bedford Buccaneers in their 2018 home opener. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Chris Neville. I'll be calling the play-by-play of tonight's game. Wildcats are coming back after a great season last year, finishing 8-3. We'll see how things are going to be this year. We'll be back with the opening kickoff in a few minutes.
WCTV's coverage of Wildcat football this fall is sponsored by Align Credit Union. Not only focused on personal and business banking, Align is a community credit union participating in events throughout the region. Located next to Lucci's and also at aligncu.com. Align Credit Union, connecting all your banking needs.
I want to welcome everybody to Wilmington High School's Alumni Field. It is a beautiful night for football. Sky is clear. A little bit humid. Temperatures are very comfortable outside. And we're about 1 minute away from the kickoff at tonight's season opener at home for the Wildcats. Wildcats coming off a very hard-fought victory last week over Shawsheen Tech Rams, scoring in the last 5 minutes of the game. Coming away with a 10-7 win over the Shawsheen Tech Rams. The coaches are going out to the captains are going out to midfield. For the Wildcats, number 42, Peter Marino, number 81, Kyle Kenyon, and number 9, Connor Benoit. All three guys have very big holes to fill from last year's team, but based on what we saw from them last year, they're all very capable of doing so. And it looks like Wilmington has won the toss. They've elected to receive. They'll be going left to right. And after the national anthem, we'll be getting ready for action here. Last week, Bedford took a loss to Burlington High School in their season opener. Fairly high-scoring game, so Bedford did show they could put some points on the board. We'll see if they're up to the task. And I guess right about now, we're almost ready for our national anthem.
We ask that you please bow your heads for a moment of silence for former Wilmington football player and member of the class of 2001, Mark Jepson, who passed away earlier this week. Thank you. We now ask that you continue to stand as the marching band honors the country by playing the national anthem.
start to the season by the high school marching band. Talking with Coach Craig Turner a couple days ago, and he mentioned he was very, very happy with the defensive effort by his team last week at Shawsheen Tech. They're actually able to hold the Rams to -1 yards rushing for the game, which is quite an accomplishment at any level of football. Shawsheen Tech scored early in that game, and Wilmington picked up a field goal early in the halfway through the first half by Adam Bishop, who's their senior kicker this year. Deep back for Wilmington is Colin Rooney, a senior, and number 9, Connor Benoit. They're going to be back at the 10-yard line, awaiting the kickoff. And we're going to be a little slow on the draw here with the Bedford names because they're in alphabetical order instead of numerical order. The kick is popped up and a fair catch is called for at the 34-yard line. That was taken in by Christian Robarge. So the Wildcats will start 1st and 10 at their own 35-yard line. Coming back to join the Wildcats this year, starting quarterback is Andy Sullivan, a senior this year. Andy missed all of last year with an injury to his knee. Dean Nally comes out at center. The Wildcats send one wide receiver out wide to the left. Man in the slot is Marino. Sullivan is back to pass. He flares it out in the right to Benoit, who takes it at the 30, cuts up to the 35. Flag in the play. Benoit's taken down for a gain of 5 at the 40-yard line, but I think we're going to have a holding call on the Wildcats. That'll push the Wildcats back 10 yards. It was a gain of about 4 on the play, 3 or 4 on the play. We'll see if they decide to accept it. They will. First down from, move the ball back to the 25-yard line. So a rocky start for the Wildcats. Colin Rooney comes in as a senior wideout, number 18. Sullivan confers at the sideline for the next play. Wildcats facing 1st and 18 now. The ball is placed at the 28. Reformulated offensive line for the Wildcats. A lot of key graduates last year. Sullivan, man in motion, is Marino. Sullivan holds it, keeps it, runs to the right. He's taken down, he fumbles it, and the ball is loose and recovered by the Buccaneers at the 23-yard line.
Fumble is recovered by the Bedford Bucks.
I believe Ryan Lobo might have been in on the recovery there. Again, number 34. So a very inauspicious start for the Wildcats early on here in the first quarter. Only a half a minute in.
Yeah, so once it goes out of, so once the ref rules down on the kickoffs, when it goes out of bounds, like they're going to give you.
So Bedford comes out, ready to roll.
And then once it's set, the guy in the white.
Brendan Spalding is wide receiver far to the left. Quarterback. I'm going to give it my best. Caponitis, Paniotis, Camponitis. He sprints wide to the right. Flag on the play. Ball's up and grabs into the end zone. It's incomplete. Flag in the backfield is going to be holding against the Buccaneers. We'll see what Coach Turner decides to do. From what I understand, there's going to be a lot of running by the senior quarterback. Caponitis. If I mess it up, I apologize to his family if they're watching at some point in the future. Tyler Dussault is in the backfield. He's number 1 for the Bucks. On the fly here, Ryan Lobo is in the slot on the right. Handoff is up the middle, and he's taken down immediately in a tackle by Kyle Kenyon in the middle of the line for another loss. Loss of about 2 on the play. Coach Turner's gone to a 3-man front with 2 very effective players from last year, Dean Nally and Kyle Kenyon, sandwiched around Jared Venezia right now. Motion offside by the Wildcats. Ball is thrown downfield. Man is open and just dropped down at the 3-yard line.
Bedford quarterback Caponides falls incomplete. There was a flag down on the play.
I think it was Kenyon that might have jumped there. Ball was intended for Brendan Jones down the left sideline.
5-yard penalty. He's second down, 15.
So a very shaky start to the game from both teams. Both teams have picked up penalties. Caponides does have a very good arm, as he's demonstrated in the 2 of the first 3 plays from scrimmage here so far. So Jared Venezia is a defensive tackle in the middle of the line with Nally and Kenyon, the 2 defensive ends. Another hand up the middle, and he's stopped for little or no gain, just crosses the 30-yard line. Handoff was Tyler Dussault. Hurry up offense by the Buccaneers, 3rd down and 15. Caponides, single man in the backfield with him. Once again, fakes the handoff. He's back to pass. Being chased, he lets it go to the sideline. It's going to fall incomplete.
Third down pass falls incomplete.
So it's going to be 4th down for the Bucs. 3rd and 15 from the 29-yard line of the Wildcats. And Coach Tom Tone of the Buccaneers elects to keep his offense on the field at the 29-yard line. Puts 4 wide receivers out. This will be a challenge for the young defensive secondary for the Wildcats. And there's a timeout on the play. It's called by Coach Turner for the Wildcats, making sure he had the right coverage out there on defense. So 9:20 to go in the first quarter here. As I mentioned when we first came on, this is the first time we've covered a live broadcast here at Wilmington High School of an athletic event. So we hope you're enjoying tonight's program. This will be on in replay over the next couple of weeks. I believe the next 2 games for the Wildcats are both away. Caponides comes in with the play from the sideline. So Bedford clearly is going to run a hurry-up offense, even without huddling after a timeout. And now it looks like we have a delay of game penalty, an illegal procedure penalty against the Buccaneers on the far sideline. Now it's going to be 4th and 20 for the Bucs. Look at Tyler Dussault, Ryan Lobo on the far right, and now we have another timeout called. I was about to mention that if you are watching this live, this coming Monday night, the 17th, on the Wilmington Common, there will be an opiate awareness vigil. September is National Recovery Month for all those people suffering from opiate addiction and for those that have been lost to it. We hope that you'll consider coming out to the Wilmington Common at 7 o'clock next Monday night, the 17th. There'll be a vigil. A lot of family members and friends of people who have been lost to the opiate crisis over the past year will be recognized. There'll be a candlelight vigil, a number of speakers, a number of people from in town. The substance abuse coordinator for the Wilmington Police, Samantha Reef, will be there. And we're hoping for a very good turnout on the Common with a lot of support for those who've been deeply impacted by both heroin and other opioids. 5 wide receivers split out wide for the Bucs. Caponides back at the 40-yard line. He looks downfield. The pressure is on. He lets it go down the middle, and it's broken up on a very nice play by Connor Benoit down at the 10-yard line. He was on the ball all the way, broke it up. The Wildcats are going to take over again at their own 34-yard line.
Broken up by the Wildcats. Connor Benoit. Wilmington takes over 1st and 10 from their own 35.
So great defensive stand by the Wildcats on their first attempt on defense. So Andy Sullivan brings the Wildcats back out on offense. Dean Nally is the center, playing offensive line for the first time. He's strictly a defensive lineman last year. Another fumble on the play. This one's loose, and there's another pile. The ball is dead at the 36-yard line. Let's see who got it. And it looks like Bedford has taken it over again. Nope, 2nd down. The official calls it recovered by the Wildcats. So they caught a break there. Colin Rooney comes in with the play, gives it to Sullivan. Very sloppy so far here in the early going for the Wilmington. Single man in the backfield with Sullivan. Looks like it's Peter Marino, number 42. Sullivan hands it off to the middle to Marino, picks up big yardage, taken down close to the 1st down marker at the 45-yard line. So he picks up a gain of about 8 or 9 yards there, and it will be a 1st down for the Wildcats at their own 45-yard line. Good offensive line work by the Wildcats on that play. Christian Robage now splits out wide to the right. Kenyon split wide to the left. Andrew Sullivan calls signals. On a reverse to Marino. Picks up 5, 10 yards down to the 40, and he's taken down at the 40, at the 36-yard line. Tackled by Brendan Spalding on defense, but Marino picked up a nice gain there. And I think that was actually Bailey Smith on the carry on that. Nice misdirection play for the Wildcats on offense there. Fake the handoff to Marino, passes up in the flats, and it's going to be complete down at the 31-yard line. That was completed to Jason Marquardt, senior wide receiver for the Wildcats.
Second down 6 for the Wildcats from the Bedford 31-yard line.
7:26 to go in the first quarter. Clock was stopped with the ball carrier being pushed out of bounds. Sullivan takes the snap. Handoff again to Marino, who cuts back to the middle. He's down to the 20, into the 10, and he's taken down inside the 5 at the 3-yard line. Another big hole. It's like a 28-yard gain. The Wildcats are starting to get things in sync here right now.
First and goal for the Wildcats.
So the Wildcats are knocking on the door at the 4-yard line. Marino once again single setback. Bailey Smith is in the slot. Handoff is to Marino, who cuts back, and he is stopped just shy of the goal line, down at about the 1 to 2 yard line.
Marino on the carry for the Wildcats. Second and goal from the 2-yard line.
Marquardt brings the play again in to Sullivan. So Kenyon is out split wide to the right. Wildcats opening the field up. See what they do here. It's to Kenyon, who has it for a touchdown. Nice quick slant pass. Andy Sullivan to Kyle Kenyon. Wildcats are on the board for the first time tonight. 6:13 to go in the first quarter. I'm sure Andy Sullivan is very relieved. He's been waiting a long time for that one. ready for the extra point for the Wildcats. Adam Bishop kicks it through the uprights. And with 6:13 to go in the first quarter, Wildcats 7, Bedford Buccaneers nothing. Well, we have a minute. I want to take an opportunity to thank not only Athletic Director Tim Alberts, but all of the coaches from all of the athletic teams, fall athletic teams here at Wilmington High School. Wilmington Rotary Club ran an Ice Bucket Challenge a couple of weeks ago to benefit research and awareness for ALS. All of the money raised by the Rotary Club that day goes to the Angel Fund, one of the prominent organizations involved in trying to find a cure for ALS. And all the teams came down and participated. Together the club raised over $3,000 that day. And the Rotary Club would like to express their appreciation to the entire athletic staff here at the high school for their support and cooperation for the last few years. Okay, we're ready for the kickoff. Taken downfield at the 20-yard line. Sprints to the right and then taken down at the 33-yard line. That was taken by Tyler Dussault. Adam Bishop on the kick for the Wildcats.
Number 1, Tyler Dussault returns the kick up to his own 34-yard line.
So now the Wildcats have the Buccaneers in Bedford territory. One of the guys on the Wilmington defense, a transfer student from Malden Catholic. He's only a sophomore, Steve Smolinski. And I know Coach Craig Turner expects big things from him. He's at middle linebacker position. So Kapanitis back with a single setback with him in the backfield. He's back to pass again. The rush is on. It's a nice screen pass. It's complete. And the ball carrier is taken down over the 45-yard line to about the 46-yard line. Complete to Tyler Dussault. There's the flag on the play. That was a perfectly executed screen pass by Bedford. Wilmington had a great pass rush, and then they dumped the ball right over the rushers. Nice play, but it kind of looks like it's going to get called back here. Unsportsmanlike conduct against Bedford, which is going to negate all of that. Not sure what happened down there. We didn't see anything up here.
A 15-yard penalty. It'll be first down.
So that brings the ball all the way back to the Bedford 31-yard line. And I believe it'll be 1st and 10 there. Correct. So it's a dead ball foul for the Bucks. Pina Marino is the cornerback on the right side for the Wildcats. They got Benoit. Handoff is inside, and he's quarterback keeps it. Kapanitis keeps it. And there's another flag on the play. Looked like there was a hold by Bedford on the run. Ball carrier was stopped at the 38-yard line, but Kapanitis had some nice running room along the left side. He cut back, and one of the defenders grabbed the Wildcat, well, one of the offensive linemen grabbed the Wildcat defender on the way by. You know, the Wildcats are happy to have Pat McAndrew back on the offensive and defensive line for them this year. Pat had a great year last year until he got banged up during the season, got a knee injury. He's in at defensive tackle right now in between Kenyon and Nally. Two men split wide to the right, two men split wide to the left. It clearly is going to be a passing offense by Bedford tonight. Kapanitis back to pass. Pressure is on. He throws it into the ground. So kind of a herky-jerky first quarter here for both teams until the Wildcats put 7 on the board with 6.5 minutes to go. Pass is incomplete, 2nd down and 12 at the 29-yard line of Bedford. Zach Poor is in the backfield now with Kapanitis. And now we have another illegal procedure penalty.
5-yard penalty. 2nd down, 17.
Looks like Carl Saeed is in on defensive line now for the Wildcats. Looks like Dean Nally might have come out for a spell. Tell you, with the penalties and the stoppages of play, it's dragging out to be a very long first quarter. Handoff down the middle, stopped in the backfield and taken down for another loss of about 1 yard or 2. Host the Wildcat tacklers on the play. I think that was Zach Poor on the carry. 3rd and about 18 or 19. Dussault brings the play in, or at least he comes into the ball game. All the plays seem to be getting called from the sideline. Kapanitis looks, pressure's on again by Nally, who takes him down. The ball is up in the air and it's thrown out of bounds. Incomplete. Wildcats hold Bedford on 4th down, or on 3rd down. It's going to be 4th and 18. So 2 very good defensive stands by the Wildcats so far, helped along in part by some penalties. Connor Benoit is going to be the deep man for the Wildcats. And Dussault is back at his own 10, 11-yard line for the punt. Or maybe it's not Dussault. Can't tell the numbers up here. Ball gets away. Pretty good kick. Comes down at the 45. It bounces to the left and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. It was Kapanitis on the punt.
Inside the Wilmington 40, where the Wildcats will take over 1st and 10.
So we'll see what the Wildcats can do on their third drive of the first quarter. Come to the line. Bailey Smith is the flanker on the right side. Sullivan fakes the handoff, finds a man open, incomplete to Marino, incomplete to Smith.
Sullivan's pass intended for Marino falls incomplete. It's 2nd down and 10.
Pretty well executed play there. Smith was open, ball was just a little bit overthrown. Wildcats come to the line. 2nd and 10. Sullivan hands off to Marino up the middle. He stopped for no gain. Brought down by a host of Bedford tacklers right at the 40-yard line. Going to bring up 3rd and 10 for the Wildcats. I want to thank our sponsor this year for Wildcat football, the Align Credit Union, located up at Eastgate Plaza in Wilmington. They'll be our primary sponsor. You'll be hearing more from them in a couple of minutes. Back to pass is Sullivan. The rush is on. It was a screen pass complete to Marino, who finds a lot of open running room in the left side to the 40. He's down to the 30. He's around the corner, taken out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Nicely designed screen pass. Big hole opened up there on the left side. Once Marino was able to gather that pass in, it was a little bit high. He had to jump for it, but he made a nice catch. And then with his good speed, he was able to outdistance most of the defense until he was pushed out, actually at the 21-yard line. Kenyon is split wide to the right sideline. Benoit in the right slot. Fakes the handoff up the middle. Sullivan runs with it. Gains of about 4 or 5 yards, maybe 4 yards right up the middle. Going to be 2nd and 6 for the Wildcats.
It's a gain of 4. 2nd down 6 for the Wildcats.
Same lineup for the Wildcats. 2 wide receivers split to the right. Sullivan sprints out to the right, lets the ball go downfield. Man open, Connor Benoit, touchdown! Wide open in the corner of the end zone. A 21-yard TD strike from Andy Sullivan to Connor Benoit, and the Wildcats are up 13-0. Nice route run by Benoit. A little bit in and out. He was the inside slot receiver. He cut back to the right and found plenty of room out on the right side. So Adam Bishop's in to attempt his 2nd extra point of the night under the hold of Tristan Champa. And that was offside, but the kick is good. The extra point is good by the Wildcats. Bedford was offside on the play. Penalty is declined. And with 2:15 to go in the first quarter, the Wildcats are up 14-0. So already the offense tonight is starting to get kick-started after a few sloppy plays at the beginning of the game. A fortunate recovery on their 2nd drive. They drove the ball downfield for a touchdown, and now a very quick drive after taking the ball over at their own 40-yard line. Quick 60-yard drive, capped by a TD scoring pass from Andy Sullivan to Connor Benoit. If you're watching at home tonight on Friday night, our first live broadcast of a sporting event from Wilmington High School, we want to welcome you. Hope you're enjoying the program tonight, and I hope it's coming through without any interference. Pretty exciting time for us, and we're hoping to do more of these games, not only in football, but other games during the course of the season. Ball fell off the tee, so Adam will have to put it back on. 3 deep men for the Buccaneers. Ball is kicked downfield, and it is taken at the 16-yard line by one of the deep men, who finds a little bit of running room. He stepped over the 30-yard line out to the 35-yard line. I think that was Ryan Lobo on the return, number 34.
That returns a kick to the 36-yard line.
So once again, Bedford comes out with 3 wide receivers on the far left. Campanitis hands off to the middle, taken down for a short gain. Taken down on the play by Steve Smolinski, the middle linebacker for the Wildcats. Carl Seed comes off the field. Kenyon is back on. 2nd and 8. One man in the backfield. Caponitis back to pass. He lets it go over the middle, and it's incomplete. Tipped on the way through. It was intended for Brendan Spalding, number 7.
Pass is intended for number 7, Brendan Spalding. It's incomplete. 3rd down and 8.
So once again, the Wildcats are stymieing the Bedford offense here. One benefit of the 3-man pass rush is they got some good talent up on that defensive line. They're putting a lot of pressure on Caponitis. So man is offside. Illegal procedure penalty against Bedford as the wide receiver Brendan Jones took off before the snap. It'll set back Bedford back another 5 yards.
5-yard penalty. Bring up 3rd down and 13.
3rd and 13 for the Bucks with 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go in the first quarter. So it's like Jones and Lobo are out split wide to the left. 2 Salters in the backfield with Caponitis. Snap is low. Caponitis lets it go downfield, and it's open and incomplete. Broken up at the 31-yard line. Good defensive play by Connor Benoit. And Peter Marino was down there as well.
Pass intended for number 2, Brendan Jones, is incomplete. It'll be 4th down and 13 for Bedford.
So 4th down for the Bucks. Once again, Benoit is going to be back as the return men for the Wildcats. Caponitis stands at his own 22-yard line. Ball's away. Comes down to Benoit. He lets it hit once. And that goes inside the 25, inside the 20-yard line. And it's down right down there at about the 17-yard line. Michael D'Elia for the Buccaneers jumped on the ball there. And even though I think the clock says 1:04, I think we're at the end of the first quarter here.
Punt will be the end of the first quarter. We score Wilmington 14, Bedford 0.
All right, so we'll be back with second quarter action. We'll be back after this message from the Align Credit Union.
WCTV's coverage of Wildcat football this fall is sponsored by Align Credit Union. Not only focused on personal and business banking, Align is a community credit union participating in events throughout the region. Located next to Lucci's and also at aligncu.com. Align Credit Union, connecting all your banking needs.
Okay, we're at the end of the first quarter here. Alumni Field in Wilmington, live Friday night. And after one quarter of play, the Wildcats are up 14-0 against the Bedford Buccaneers. I want to thank you again for joining us here on Wilmington Community Television. First live broadcast ever of any sporting event here, so we're hoping it's second quarter. Okay, we're ready for second quarter action. And Wilmington calls a timeout to start the second quarter.
Check that, a full timeout.
We're running a little a little short. No commentator up here tonight to give me a hand, and some of our communication may be done over the air, so bear with us. If you're watching us tonight, once again, the annual Wilmington Half Marathon and 5K Road Race kicks off on September 23rd. That's Sunday, a week from this coming Sunday. Kicks off from the parking lot in the studios of WCTV on Waltham Street in Wilmington. 13.1 miles for the real half marathoners, and a nice 5K road race that kicks off a few minutes prior to that. It's always a great community event. Got a lot of support from the residents around the town as the runners are going, with either water or time stops so people know what their pace is. Wilmington comes out first down and 10 at the 22 yard line. 3 receivers on the left. Back to pass is Sullivan. He scrambles, he runs to the right, he finds some open running room to the 20. He's taken down after a gain of about 3 or 4 yards just outside the 20 yard line.
Sullivan carries up to the 21. Second down and 6 for the Wildcats.
Christian Robage comes into the game. He's going to be split out wide to the right. And I think Jason Marquardt split wide to the left. It's a handoff to Benoit, who skips out to the left side, picks up close to a first down. He stopped just outside the 25 yard line. Officials are calling it going to be 3rd down and 1 for the Wildcats. So once again, Marino in the backfield. Bailey Smith is in the left slot. Hand off to Marino up the middle, and he's going to be close to a first down. Probably going to require a measurement, or he may have got it by a foot or two. Going to be timeout on the play. Does bring it out to the 40, the 27 yard line, and it looks like they have called for a first down. I think. Yes, they did. The Wildcats have a new set of downs. Clock is ticking here. Second quarter. Pretty decent crowd is filled in here at Alumni Field. Two wide receivers split wide to the right for the Wildcats. Sullivan fakes the handoff. He's back to pass. He looks downfield, lets it go, and it's overthrown, intended for Benoit. Pretty good defensive play. I get some moaning on the sideline here, but timing was just a little bit off. I think it was a little bit overthrown. Might have been intended for Benoit, might have been Robage. I couldn't tell from the numbers up here in the press box. Okay, good. Marquardt, Benoit, wide to the left. Strong left formation. Passes out and incomplete, intended for Marquardt. Sullivan got knocked down on the play as he was getting rid of the ball. 3rd and 10 for the Wildcats. Clearly a design play, looking to get some blockers out in front, but the pass wasn't quite in the receiver's hand. So Robage is in now, going to be split out wide to the right. Benoit is going to be in the right slot. Marquardt is on the left flank. Bedford is feigning a blitz, and it looks like Wilmington called timeout before the ball was snapped.
Wilmington will take a full timeout.
Just want to make a quick announcement for the band parents. They typically have a raffle, a 50-50 raffle at all of the games, the home games. This year, or tonight, because of the incredible events that happened up in the Merrimack Valley yesterday in Lawrence, Andover, and North Andover. The band parents are conducting a fundraiser tonight as they go through the stands. They are collecting money to purchase gift cards for families in need in the Lawrence, North Andover, and Andover area. It's a nice gesture by the band parents to forego their proceeds for tonight. All the proceeds that are raised tonight will go toward the purchase of gift cards, and then Chief Begonis or somebody from the Public Safety Department here in Wilmington will either bring them up to the Lawrence, the Andover, the North Andover public safety officials to have those distributed as they are necessary. So we're 8:51 to go in the second quarter. Second, Robage splits wide to the right. Connor Benoit is in the right slot. Once again, there's a rush on by Bedford. Back to pass Sullivan. He sprints out, lets it go, and he throws it away out of bounds. So it looks like Bedford has picked up a little bit of I guess intelligence, if you will, on how Wilmington is running the plays. It's going to bring them fourth down. Buccaneers putting a lot of pressure on quarterback Andy Sullivan the last couple of downs, and seems to throw their rhythm off a little bit. So 4th and 10 for the Wildcats. Colin Rooney, the senior wide receiver and linebacker, is also the punter for the Wildcats. He gets the ball away barely and comes down inside the 45-yard line, and it's blown dead at about the 41-yard line, where the Buccaneers will take over first down and 10. Another very good punt rush by the Buccaneers on that. They almost got their hands on the ball before Rooney got it away. I know talking to Coach Turner the other day, he's very happy to have Dean Nally back in the starting lineup tonight. Dean was hobbled a little by a leg injury, but he's going both ways tonight. Kapanitis back to pass, pitches it out, and it looked like a lateral. Incomplete. It's ruled incomplete. That was going to be very close. It was intended for Tyler Dussault.
Second down and 10.
I see number 10 in the backfield for Bedford, but I do not see a corresponding name on the sheet that I have in front of me. So if they throw it to him, I'll just call him number 10. Kapanitis back to pass. A lot of pressure on. It's another attempted screen pass. Ball's incomplete. Good coverage on the play over there by Connor Benoit and Steve Smolinski. They're both in the middle of the mix. So it's going to be 3rd and 10 for Bedford. I think Bedford's going to have trouble with this pass rush for Wilmington if they continue to try to heave the ball down the field. Kenyon and Nally at the ends, and then whoever they plug in the middle of the defensive line is putting a lot of pressure on the Bedford offense. So there's a timeout called here on the field by the Wildcats with 8:30 to go in the first half. Ball sits at the 41-yard line. So after a few hiccups at the beginning of the game, it seems like quarterback Andy Sullivan has kind of fallen into a rhythm here. He's been pretty much on target with a lot of his passes, including 2 touchdown passes, one to Kyle Kenyon, one to Connor Benoit. And I think so far Coach Turner's probably pretty happy with the defensive effort, as he was last Friday night against Shawshene Tech Rams. So Ryan Lobo comes out wide to the right. Kapanitis is back to pass, pressure's on again. He gets hit as he lets it go, and the ball is caught. That was complete to Brendan Jones. Good coverage on the play by the Wildcats, but Jones had a few inches of room there, and he was able to make the catch. Now Bedford rushes up to the line. Keeps the ball himself, runs up the field, picks up about 3 or 4 yards up to the 31-yard line. It is the kind of offense that makes the defense scramble. Keeps it again, runs, and this time he's brought down for no gain, maybe a loss of a yard. Brings up third and about 7-yard line. 3rd and 7 from the 32-yard line.
That was stopped for a loss by number 54, Dean Nally. 3rd down and 7.
Dussault is out to the right. Looking for more direction from the sideline. Once again, number 10 is split wide to the right. I don't have his name on the roster here. Back to pass. Pressure's on. Looks like a holding call downfield. Broken up on the play on a great play. Looks like Jordan Olatalo broke that ball up downfield. In fact, I think if we see that on replay, Jordan made a great play on that ball on the wide, as a cornerback on the far right side of the field, far left side of the field. Broken up down by the 10-yard line.
Personal foul, chop block against Bedford.
Okay, that ball is going to come back 15 yards. The penalty on the play was a chop block by one of the offensive linemen. So it brings the ball back to midfield. Actually, the 46-yard line of the Wildcats. 3rd and 23, it looks like. Wholesale change in the offensive scheme for Bedford. Including, they're going to go into punt formation and, well, not sure if it's 3rd or 4th down. We'll have to get a ruling from the officials here. Bedford is calling a timeout. We have a lot of the Pop Warner cheerleaders down accompanying our high school cheerleaders here. Girls always do a great job. Seems like all the levels of cheerleading in Wilmington, they always end up very high in the rankings during their competitions. All right, Bedford is elected to go back to a real play on 3rd down instead of a punt. Man in motion behind Kapanitis. It's going to be a pitch back. Kapanitis is open on the outside. And it's well designed down the sideline. He's taken out of bounds, but he's enough for a 1st down. Taken down at the 22-yard line. There was a pitch back to the man in motion. Kapanitis scampered out on the left flat, was open for the pass. And he clearly is the star athlete on this team. So they caught the Wildcat defense napping a little bit. And they have 6.5 minutes, 6:50 to go in the second quarter. 1st and 10 at the 20. Back to pass. Lets it go downfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown, Bedford. By Tyler Dussault. 20-yard touchdown pass. So Bedford gets on the board. And Campanitis also does the place kicking for them. So he's lined up. And the kick is well over the uprights. It's good. So 6:37 to go in the half. The Wildcats lead is cut to 14-7. I'd be happy to tell you who the holder was for Bedford, but that's not on my list either. So, and there's nobody here to ask. So, I guess we'll have to stick mostly with the Wildcats for the rest of the night. Okay, Benoit and Rooney going to be back deep for the Wildcats, standing down about the 15-yard line, down to the 10-yard line, awaiting the kickoff. Kickoff by number 62 in Bedford, and another one, and that ball goes sideways. And there's a scrum, and it looks like Bedford, while they're motioning, they have the ball. It's Wilmington ball. They did recover it. Just the other side of midfield, down at the 47-yard line. I'll be interested to see how far that ball actually went before somebody made a play on it. Kickoff comes from the 40-yard line. It's going to go 10 yards before anybody's required to make a play. Interesting kick by Alexei Panagiotou. Sorry, Alexei. Not that familiar with the Greek name. So Wildcats come out first and 10, the 47-yard line. Sullivan calls signals. Hands off to Marino, finds some running room, cuts back through the middle, gets another nice block over the left tackle. He's down at the 42-yard line for a first down. Good 11-yard run by Peter Marino. So Sullivan gets to play himself. Once again, Dean Nally playing center for the first time this year. Handoff up the middle again to Marino. Cuts back with another nice gain. Picks up 8 yards on the carry right up the middle of the gut. Inside the 35-yard line. It's going to make it 2nd down and 2 for the Wildcats. Kenyon splits out wide to the right. Benoit splits out in the slot. And Christian Robarge. Christian plays wide left. Handoff again to Bailey Smith, to Peter Marino, who stays on his feet. He's knocked out of bounds after first down to the 17-yard line. 3 runs in a row, and he's picked up over 30 yards in the last 3 carries. So the Wildcats are on the drive with about 5 minutes to go in the first half now. Jason Marquardt checks in at wide receiver for the Wildcats. I see an official timeout for a moment, and we're ready to go. Marquardt is split wide to the left. Benoit in the slot on the left. Robarge to the right. Passes to Benoit, who cuts back. It's complete. Inside to the 10-yard line. There's a penalty marker on the play.
Sullivan's pass complete to Benoit. There's a flag down on the play.
Maybe some downfield holding on the part of the Wildcats. Holding by the Wildcats is going to bring the ball back 10 yards from the spot of the foul. And the spot of the foul must have been where the play was blown dead. So Wildcats will still have a first down, but it's going to be first and about 14 yards from the Bedford 22-yard line. Roney is split out wide to the right. Benoit in the slot. Back to pass. Sullivan to Kenyon. Downfield. He's open and incomplete in the end zone. Kyle had a little bit of a hard time getting by the defensive back. Couldn't get beyond him. So it's going to be second down for the Wildcats and 15. Or 14. From the 22. Handoff is to Marino, who's stopped a little or no gain, maybe a loss of a yard.
Marino tackled in the backfield by Bedford's number 42, Zachary Moore.
So see if the Wildcats can get some movement here in the ball. Certainly Adam Bishop is a capable kicker, as he showed last year in several games, including a thrilling field goal in the game against Marblehead in the playoffs. But this is a little bit outside his range. Sullivan back to pass. Pressure is manageable. He lets the ball go downfield, and it's broken up.
Sullivan's pass intended for Marino falls incomplete. Broken up by Bedford's number 14, Gregory.
Play was broken up by Greg Cormier,
Down at 14 for Wilmington.
who was intended for Bailey Smith. 3.5 minutes to go in the first half. During that break, we'll also show you an interview I did with Coach Turner to talk about what he expects from his team this year. That'll be coming up at halftime. I know he's excited. He's got a lot of very versatile kids, which he felt that he had some maneuverability where he could put people on both the offensive and defensive line this year. See what the Wildcats can do on fourth down now here with Sullivan calling signals, and looks like we have an illegal procedure. Going to send the ball back another 5 yards.
Start against the Wildcats. Be a 5-yard penalty. Fourth down, 19.
Fourth and 19 for the Wildcats. Brings the ball back to the 27-yard line. So we'll see if they try to pull something out of their bag of tricks, or if they just go with something conservative. Man in motion is Marino. Back to pass to Sullivan. Looks downfield. He lets it go. Man is open in the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Connor Benoit. I don't know if Benoit was the intended recipient or Kyle Kenyon, but they were both open down there at the goal line. That's a 27-yard touchdown pass, his third of the game. Andy Sullivan to Connor Benoit in the end zone. The Wildcats jump out to a 20-7 lead. Great protection by the offensive line for the Wildcats gave Sullivan enough time to stand in the pocket and let the ball go down toward the end zone. So Adam Bishop is in to attempt his third extra point. Tristan Champa, the holder. The ball is up. It is good. So that rounds it out to 21-7. 3.5 minutes to go in the first half. We may be here all night, but so far things are favorable for the Wildcats. I know there were a lot of questions, even though Andy Sullivan is certainly a capable quarterback. He missed all of last year with an injury, and needless to say, Graham Smith stepped in and did an incredible job as quarterback for the Wildcats last year. He had 2 great seniors helping him, John Kenny, the running back, and Tyler Roberts, who played both offensively and defensively. All of them have gone on to college athletics. Tyler's a starter at Merrimack College, recovered a fumble last week. And John Kenny is the starting running back for Endicott College, Division III. And then Graham Smith is going on to play baseball at Franklin Pierce College in the spring. So here comes Bishop's kick. It's a squib kick down to the 46-yard line where it's recovered by Bedford. Well, it was recovered by number 20, Nicholas Gibbons.
Nicholas Gibbons covers the kick. Bedford takes over first down and 10 from there, 46-yard line.
So Bedford's got 2.5 minutes to try to mount another drive. With the wide open passing offense that they have, they've certainly chewed up an awful lot of time on the clock, if not on the scoreboard. So Kapanitis back with a single man in the backfield, fakes the handoff, ball is let go up the middle and complete. Complete to number 34, Ryan Lobo, who gets a big first down gain down inside the 40-yard line, down to actually the 34-yard line of the Wildcats.
Heavily pass complete to number 34, Ryan Lobo. Good for a Bedford first down.
And off to Dussault up the middle. He finds good running room. Big gain up about 8 yards. Stopped by the middle of the Wildcat defensive linebacking crew. So Bedford's starting to find a little bit of running room. Timeout is called on the field by the Wildcats. I'm sorry, 2-minute warning. So with 2 minutes to go in the first half, Wildcats maintain a 21-7 lead. Kapanitis over on the far sideline getting instructions for the next play from scrimmage. So Bedford is not taking a lot of time at all here to try to move this ball downfield against the Wildcat defense. A rush into the line, and the Wildcats stuffed that one out. Might be just shy of a first down. Kapanitis picked up a yard. Brought down right on the yard marker for the 20. So it's about a yard short of first down. Going to bring up 3rd down and 1. And this probably gives Bedford a lot of options here. No doubt they'll go for it on 4th down if they don't make it here. But they've shown the ability to get around the corner a little bit on the Wildcat. Dussault in the backfield. Handoff is up the middle for first down, and holding on for dear life. It's like Joe DeMonico in on the tackle. Grabbed the hold of the jersey, brought him down. 1:14 to go in the quarter. First down for Bedford. Snap is back. The handoff is up the middle to Dussault. He stopped at the 15-yard line. Gain of 3 yards on the play. Clock continues to run inside a minute. And there's a fumbled snap. Kapanitis picked it up after the bad snap. He was able to rush it forward for another yard. He's brought down, so it's going to be 3rd and 6 as the clock continues to tick. I think Bedford still has a couple of timeouts. And they are finally taking one with 30 seconds left in the first half. So we'll see if Coach Turner can dial up the defense to snuff out 2 more plays and go into halftime with a 21-7 lead. Just a reminder that we'll have the interview with Coach Craig Turner coming on at halftime. He'll be talking about what he expects from his co-captains, his returning starters, and some of the younger guys that are going to be playing big roles for the Wildcats this year. Okay, so Bedford comes out. They have 3 wide receivers split wide to the right. DeMonico throws the ball, and it's going to be incomplete, knocked down. It's like Andy Sullivan is in there on defense. No, number 9, not number 3, Connor Benoit. Christian Robarge. All right, we'll get there eventually. So it brings down 4th down and 6. And Bedford brings in several replacements along the offensive line. And it looks like they're going to go for a field goal on 4th down. Caponitis stands. Ball be placed on at the 22. It'll be a 32-yard field goal attempt by Caponitis. Ball is down. The kick is up. The kick is long enough, and it is good. So with 20 seconds left to go in the first half, Bedford puts 3 points on the board, and they've tightened it up. Wilmington's 21-10 over the Bucks. And we'll see what happens in the last 20 seconds of the first half as Wilmington will get the ball one more time. Nice photo op by all the cheerleaders down here in the sideline. I don't know if any of our cameras will get that, but all the, once again, Pop Warner cheerleaders and all the high school cheerleaders in a group of about 30 down there right on the sideline. Okay, Devin Clerico is back deep for the Wildcats, expecting an onside kick. Wilmington has 10 people within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And once again, Alexei Panagiotto is the kicker. He squibs it down the middle, taken by Clerico, who downs it at the 24-yard line for the Wildcats. They will take over with 16 seconds left, and I think we'll probably see a touchdown or a knee down on the field.
He's down at the 24-yard line. Wilmington takes over first down and 10.
Probably the last play of the first half here. Sullivan hands it off to Benoit, who scrambles for about 5 yards before he's taken down. And the time should tick off here at the end of the first half. And that will be it. So at the end of the first half of play tonight at Wilmington's Alumni Field, the first live broadcast on Wilmington Community Television of any athletic event, the Wildcats lead 21-10 at halftime. We'll be back with the interview of Coach Turner, and then we'll be back with the second half activities right after this. With head football coach Craig Turner entering his second year at Wilmington High School. Coach, coming off a great season last year, you put Wilmington football back on the map. You're going to be losing 3 big studs who were a big part of your team last year: Graham Smith, Tyler Roberts, and John Kenny. Are we ready to have other younger guys step up and to fill that role this year?
I hope so. It's tough to replace guys like that. Tyler's a kid that's, playing Division II football right now and getting snaps as a freshman, which is incredible. And John's the starting running back at Endicott, is Division III school, and he's doing excellent. And, Graham's a scholarship baseball player at Franklin Pierce. So those kids are kind of special athletes that's hard to replace. But I think our older kids and, maybe some younger kids have kind of taken hold of those roles and kind of run with them a little bit here so far.
Your 3 captains this year all got a lot of experience playing last year, especially Kyle Kenyon. Bailey Smith has been part of the running backs crew for the last 2 years, and
Pete Marino, sorry.
Peter Marino, that's right. But anyway, I assume you're looking forward to seeing what these guys can provide for you out on the football field.
Yep, we have 3 captains. So, like you said, Kyle Kenyon, Peter Marino, and Connor Benoit, and they're really kind of guys that were real big parts of our team last year, and 8-3 team that won a playoff game, and to have those kids coming back is certainly helpful to be able to lean on that type of experience. And they know what it takes to have a successful year and to win in this league and to go into the playoffs and stuff. So we have to kind of lean on their experience and lean on their leadership. And we have some other guys that played on that team as well that we'll certainly be leaning on as well. But leadership in the team is certainly a shared role more than just the captains. And we've gotten a great amount of leadership from our senior class and juniors too. We've got a great junior class. So
you did have a lot of younger guys that got a lot of playing time last year, sophomores and juniors last year that have stepped up into the role this year. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, I mean, we started 3 sophomores last year, which is pretty unique on a team that went 8-3 and had that much success in the Middlesex League. And Bailey Smith was a kid who we had an injury early in the year and popped him in, and he basically played so well that we couldn't take him out. He just did a fabulous job, and I tell people all the time he's probably the most important player on our team right now. I mean, if we lost him, we don't have another Bailey Smith standing behind me on the sideline. So that
takes over the role of his brother as being a real leader on the team.
Yeah, he's absolutely, and he's just a fabulous linebacker. And this year he's playing some offense for us too. So I would expect to see him make some plays on offense. And Dean Nally was a great defensive end for us last year.
One of the highlight plays of the year had to be when he intercepted the pass and ran 70 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, that was a cool one. And he's back, and he's now on our offensive line too, and he's been excellent. And then the last kid out of that sophomore group that played last year that are now juniors is Pat McAndrew, who we lost after the 3rd game. But I mean, if you talk to our offensive line coach, he was our best offensive lineman on the team as a sophomore. So he's been excellent so far this year. So it's good to have him back.
You have Andy Sullivan coming back at quarterback this year. He played 2 years ago as a sophomore, and then he was out injured last year. What are we expecting from him for this year?
He's definitely our field general. He runs the offense, knows it in and out, which is really, really encouraging because, for a kid that didn't play last year, but, I mean, he was around some, and he picked up the offense really quickly, and that's a credit to him and the work he put in the preseason and getting in the playbook and stuff. And like I've talked about before, he's really getting better every day. He's an athletic kid. We'll lean on him to run the ball quite a bit, and he really just does a good job of kind of running our offense and keeping us on schedule.
Your defense did a great job last week against Shawsheen Tech. I think you mentioned to me that they held them to -1 yards rushing for the game. Is this something we're going to see a trend of this year, do you think?
I hope so. I mean, my brother Sean runs the defense. He's done a very good job for us, last year and then especially last week. He gets those kids to play for him, and we make great halftime adjustments as a staff. We really kind of pride ourselves on getting that stuff figured out at halftime. To hold any team to -1 yards rushing is pretty impressive. When I saw that stat after the game, it really was an eye-opener for me. Defense was kind of, I think, the strength of our team last year too. I think we're tough on defense, and you look at a kid like Kyle Kenyon. He's a tough kid to block. And we say all the time in practice, when we're running defense and stuff, running our first team defense and the scout offense is on the field, and a young kid will be out there at offensive tackle and trying to block Kenyon, and he's like, the varsity teams can't block him either, kid. Don't feel too bad about it. He's a special player, and he's a tough matchup. So I was worried about our defense going into the year just because we leaned on Tyler so much defensively last year, and to see them come out with that type of effort and that type of game plan out of my brother, that was really good to see.
I know Dean Nally wasn't available for last week's game. You're hoping to get him maybe on the field this coming week.
Dean will be in.
Dean's and I know that you have Chris Medeiros that was out injured. He's still kind of hobbled a little bit. You're hoping to get him back soon?
Yeah, we should get Chris back soon. You know, he's still just finishing up his rehab from his injury last year, and he should be back soon. We're looking forward to getting him back. I mean, that's a kid that was a starter on the offensive line for a really good team last year, so that'll certainly give us a big boost when we're able to get him back.
Okay, well, I know you got a lot of real good, solid underclassmen and seniors that are coming back this year. Looking forward to another great season.
Yeah.
So hope we have a good season here to celebrate here at Alumni Field. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Greg.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Okay, folks, welcome back for third quarter action here at Wilmington High School's Alumni Field tonight. Wildcats are leading 21-10 at halftime. Wildcats will kick off the second half, going right to left. Fairly exciting but long first half. Wildcats quarterback Andy Sullivan completed 3 long touchdown passes, 1 to Kyle Kenyon, 2 to Connor Benoit. Bedford came alive a little bit toward the end of the second quarter, scored 10 points, and they'll get the ball first off here in the second half. So Adam Bishop steps forward on the ball, pops it fairly mishandled by Bedford. It's still open and still loose, and it looks like the Wildcats may have got it down inside the 20 or down the 20-yard line. We'll see. And the Wildcats have it. They recovered the kick. It was muffed by one of the upmen for Bedford. And there was a scrum down at the 20-yard line, and I guess the Wildcats grabbed it. So a good break for them as we start the third quarter action. I don't know that was intended as a onside kick. It got over the first line of defenders and bounced, and then took a fabulous Wilmington bounce. Actually 40 yards downfield when it was all over and done with. So we'll see what the Wildcats have cooked up for the second half. Kyle Kenyon splits out wide to the right. Marquardt splits out wide to the left. Inside handoff to Marino. He scampers to the right. He finds some open running room, and he's inside to the 10-yard line, and where he's finally stopped, but it's going to be enough for first down. 10-yard run by Peter Marino. The offensive line's been opening up some pretty good holes for the Wilmington running backs tonight. Both Bailey Smith and Peter Marino have found some good running room. Rooney comes out split wide to the left. Benoit in the slot. Sullivan fakes the handoff, finds a man open. It's complete to Kenyon. He's inside the 5, and he's brought down at the 3-yard line. Good quick pass. Be second and goal for the Wildcats at the 4-yard line. Christian Robaj comes in with the play. So Robaj is split wide to the left, Benoit in the left slot. Marino in the backfield with Sullivan. He takes the handoff, finds some open running room. He's in the middle and into the end zone for a touchdown. Just want to give credit where it's due. I know Nick Coleman is on the offensive line right now. Tyler Thomas was in there. Dean Nally, all on the offensive line, making plenty of running room for Marino as he scampered through the middle of the line for a touchdown. And early on in the third quarter, the Wildcats are starting to pour it on. Kick by Bailey is going to be good. Made it over the upright. I'm sorry, by Adam Bishop, of course. So the Wildcats jump out to an early 28-10 lead early into the second half. So that was a huge break for the Wildcats to recover that kick on the opening kickoff of the third quarter. A few big runs by Bailey Smith. A couple of nice catches. Kyle Kenyon bringing it inside the 5-yard line, and then pay dirt by Marino 4 yards out. So Adam Bishop's going to tee it off again at the 40-yard line. Even late last year during the season, some of the kicks by Adam were perfectly placed. They raised havoc with Marblehead during the second half of the game last year in the playoffs. So we'll see what they conjure up this time. Looks like Dussault is one of the deep backs for Bedford at his own 20-yard line, and number 10, again, I don't have his number, or I don't have his name on the roster here. Bishop steps into the ball. This one's a good one downfield, and it's down, taken, and muffed. And it's taken down at the 17-yard line. Brendan Jones recovered it. He dropped the initial attempt at catching the ball. He was able to pick it up, and he's lucky he didn't lose it again on the sideline. It's kind of fortunate for him he stepped out of bounds, because it easily could have popped loose again. So Wildcats pin the Bucks back fairly deep in their own territory at the 18-yard line as they start their drive. We'll see if they continue their scheme that they picked up toward the end of the first half with a fairly wide open passing offense with some misdirection and runs off tackle by the quarterback. Paniatos Kapanitis. Well, back to pass, lets the ball go downfield, and it's incomplete. Intended for Christian Ruiz, number 87.
Second down and 10.
Second and 10 at the 18. Dussault and Jones both split wide to the left. Kapanitis keeps the ball, runs up the middle, and he's going to be stopped by Dean Nally and then swarmed under. Looks like Peter Marino was in on the tackle.
Backfield by number 54, Dean Nally. Bring up third down for Bedford.
I think Joe DeMonico was in on that tackle too. And Nally's a little slow to get up, but he is up. He is so critical for the Wildcats this year in his junior year, starter last year on defense. Kapanitis tried to go off right tackle on that, and Nally was there to meet him and push him back, and then he was swarmed in by DeMonico and Peter Marino. 3rd and 11 for Bedford. Timeout, or whistle blow.
Wilmington will take a 30-second timeout.
30-second timeout for the Wildcats. DeMonico comes off the field. Of course, Wilmington has not started their Middlesex League schedule yet. That should start next week. And shame on me, but I don't have the schedule in front of me, so I know we have a couple of away games coming up with another home game coming up in 3 weeks from tonight. And we're certainly hoping to cover as many of these games live as we can. If you'd like to participate, we would love to have your help. Once again, we're a little short-staffed tonight. But if you'd like to come down and learn the ropes, we'll be more than happy to teach you. We're all volunteers down here. 3rd and 11, pressure's on, he's nailed, but the wide receiver's open and he dropped it. I think that was Ryan Lobo down the left sideline, wide open. Kapanitis was drilled just as he let go of the ball. It's going to be 4th down for Bedford. And 11 yards to go. That was a a big drop. That was right in his arms, well placed by Campanitis. Was now back to punt. He's been hit hard twice now on 2 consecutive plays. Stands at his own 5-yard line, and Connor Benoit is back at the 50 for the Wildcats. Looks like the Wildcats are either got something planned or they think that Bedford has something up their sleeve. We have an illegal delay of game penalty against Bedford. It's going to set the ball back 5 more yards. So, unfortunately for the Bucks, they keep on shooting themselves in the foot. They've got a very high-octane, high-profile offense, but a lot of time in between plays when they look like they should be ready to go. So Benoit moves now up to the 40-yard line to receive the kick. Campanitis is back at the goal line. He gets the ball away. Benoit is under it. He takes it, and he holds on to it. He's down at the 43-yard line of the Buccaneers in Bedford territory, where Wilmington takes over 1st down and 10. 7:34 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Wilmington will take over 1st down and 10 at the Bedford 43-yard line.
So after a very stagnant offense last week against Shawsheen, the Wildcats have ramped it up a little bit tonight. 4 touchdowns, 3 by passing, 1 by running. And they have the ball again in Bedford territory at the 43-yard line. Marino in the backfield again. He takes the inside handoff, skirts around the left end, finds a little bit of running room. Almost broke free there, and he cut back, but he brings it inside the 40 down to the 37-yard line. He picked up about 5 yards. Picked up 6 yards on the carry. Got hit pretty hard toward the end of the run there.
2nd down 4, Wilmington.
He comes out for a breather. Colin Rooney brings the play into Andy Sullivan. See who they line up at running back right now. Number 22, Joe DeMonico, is in for Marino. Benoit in the slot. Bailey Smith is still on the right. Handoff is to Benoit, who cuts to the right. He picks up a couple of yards. He's on a quick pitch to him. Going to make it 3rd and about 2.5, 3rd and 3 for the Wildcats at the 36-yard line. So we have 3 receivers out to the left side. Robide just split wide to the left. And we have illegal procedure on the Wildcats. Whistle blows the play dead before it gets started. I think Connor Benoit started, either Connor or Christian Robide started dancing a little before the play went off. So we'll see if they have a play for 3rd and 8. I think it was Connor that started, maybe fell off balance a little bit before the snap. So 3rd and 8 for the Wildcats. Snap to Sullivan. He looks around, looks downfield, passes it downfield, and it's broken up. Almost intercepted on the play. Tyler Dussault on the defense for the Buccaneers. Brings up 4th down for the Wildcats, and looks like for the first time tonight they're going to punt the ball away.
Colin Rooney in to punt for the Wildcats.
Actually, the 2nd time tonight to punt the ball away. Colin Rooney is the punter. Bedford almost had the first kick. So let's see if they've made any adjustments at halftime to try to make sure that nobody sneaks through that offensive line. Rooney stands at his own 46. Oh, it's blocked that time. and it runs off to the sideline where it runs out of bounds. On the Wilmington side of midfield at the 46-yard line. Good pressure by the Bedford front. You could almost see that starting to develop. A little too much time getting ready to get the ball away. So we'll see if the Wildcats can mount the defense here. 3 wide receivers out to the right. Campanitis. Hands off. Stop for a gain of about 4 yards. Down to the 42-yard line, 2nd and 6.
Carries for a gain of 4. Tackle is led by Wilmington's number 41, Smolinski. 2nd down and 6.
Brendan Spalding comes into the game. Lines up at the wide receiver on the far right. Now he goes over to the slot on the right. Christian Ruiz is the wide receiver on the far right. Campanitis calls signals, runs with it, and he finds some running room off the left tackle. Picks up a 1st down. Down to the 36, 35-yard line for the Wildcats. One thing the Wildcats have to be conscious of, Campanitis, he starts to make a run for it, and the whole defense flocks to that side of the field. If he fakes the run and goes back to pass, it could open up some lanes for the passing offense for the Buccaneers. 3 wide receivers to the right. Campanitis hands off, and he stopped a little and no gain. Dussault was the ball carrier. He stopped for a gain of about a yard. Pat McAndrew on the tackle, comes off the field. Spalding split wide to the right. Campanitis rethinks the play he's going to call. Dussault still in the backfield. Campanitis back to pass. The pressure's on, but this time it's screen pass is smelled out by Bailey Smith. Wildcats saw that in the first half, went for big yards for the Buccaneers. Smith probably saw the same lineup that time, smelled it out, threw the ball carrier for a 2-yard loss, 3rd and 11 for Bedford. Ball is now back at the 37-yard line. Quick pass over the middle is incomplete. Intended for number 10. Still no name. So it's 4th down for Bedford. Let's see what they do. It's going to be a timeout on the field. Bedford is calling timeout to think about what they want to do here. Once again, a reminder, the Wilmington Half Marathon coming up on Sunday, September 23rd. Also a 5K road race that day, run by the Wilmington Tewksbury Chamber of Commerce. That race kicks off at 10 o'clock at the studio at WCTV in the parking lot, 10 Waltham Street. As we've mentioned earlier, if you're interested in becoming part of the team down here, either on the football field, the soccer field, the field hockey field, cross country, or any of the other athletics here at Wilmington High School, we would love to have your participation. We have plenty of equipment available. We will teach you how to use it. Love to have some play-by-play and some recognition for a lot of our other student athletes that are on the fields around town. So if you have any technical ability, or even if you don't, if you know how to talk, we'll be more than happy to help you. Or if it's just to aim a camera, The parents appreciate it. The kids appreciate it as well. If you're interested, contact Marty McHugh. He's the Youth Outreach Coordinator at WCTV, 658-4066. Fourth down, and looks like we have a completed pass downfield, and it's going to be enough for a first down. Campanitis went back, and he found number 10 on the far sideline, or on the near sideline. Just enough for a first down. The clock continues to run, 2:16 to go in the third quarter. Campanitis has got the ball, hands off to Dussault. Actually, Dussault carries the ball across the 20 down to the 18-yard line where he stopped. Gain of about 4 or 5 yards.
Dussault carries for a gain of 4. Tackle play by Bailey Smith. Second down at 6. 20.
Campanitis now sprints out to the left. Good pursuit by the Wildcats, brings him down for a loss in the backfield, loss of 2 yards. Good pursuit by the Wilmington linebackers. And Dean Nally was in on the tackle as well. 3rd and 9. So Campanitis looks like he's going to have an empty backfield again. Spalding and Dussault to the right. Campanitis looks downfield. Pressure is on. He's being chased, and he's being grabbed and knocked down by Kyle Kenyon. Sacked for a loss of a yard or 2 yards. Great play. Kyle came up big last year, and he's picking up right where he left off last year. Good solid force both offensively and defensively for the Wildcats. Oh, it's going to be 4th down now, and once again Bedford's going to go for it deep in Wilmington territory at the 24-yard line. And we have another timeout, I believe. Or is it the end of the quarter? Let's find out. Both teams coming to the sideline.
At the end of the third quarter, the score is Wilmington 28, Bedford 10.
That is the end of the quarter. Teams will change directions on the field. So at the end of the third quarter, Wildcats have a 28-10 lead. We'll be back after this message from the Align Credit Union.
WCTV's coverage of Wildcat football this fall is sponsored by Align Credit Union. Not only focused on personal and business banking, Align is a community credit union participating in events throughout the region. Located next to Lucci's and also at aligncu.com. Align Credit Union, connecting all your banking needs.
Well, we're back for fourth quarter action here at Alumni Field. Wildcats have a 28-10 lead as we pick up action in the fourth quarter. 4th and 11 yards for Bedford in Wilmington territory. Just want to reiterate that we are looking for help to cover some of the athletic events here in town. And membership at Wilmington Community Television is free. If you are a student, whether it be in the high school or the junior high school, we would love to have you get involved with our programming down here. Marty McHugh is the new outreach coordinator. And if you want to reach out to him at WCTV, he can set you up for some of the upcoming activities or opportunities that we have. So we're ready for action here. Campanitis sprints out to the right, being chased, lets the ball downfield, and it falls incomplete, intended for number 10 on the far sideline. Connor Benoit was in on the coverage over on the far side. So actually that was Christian Robarge in on the coverage. So Wilmington will take over on downs at their own 24-yard line. Good stop by the Wildcats on defense. Tyler Thomas in on the offensive line for the Wildcats. Carl Said, Dean Nally, Pat McAndrew, And if I come up with the other number, I'll be happy to mention his name. Sullivan, inside handoff to Marino, cuts back, has some open running to the left. He finds a big hole up over near midfield, taken down at the 45-yard line after a gain of about 20 yards, 21 yards.
Marino's carry is good for another Wildcat. First down.
The hole was plugged on the right side of the line. He cut back to the left, found some open running room, and did a lot of that on his own. Kyle Kenyon comes in now at wide receiver. Just dawned on me, Dean Nally, the center. He's the other guy I didn't mention there on the offensive line right now. Once again, inside handoff. Marino scampers free for another 6 yards right up the middle. I'm sure Coach Turner is very happy with some of the open field running right in the middle of the offensive line for the Wildcats. Things are starting to gel a little bit for them here. Second and 4 as the clock ticks to 10 minutes here left in the ball game. Wildcats keep a 28-10 lead. Sullivan is back to pass. The pressure is on. He sprints out to the right. He lets the ball go downfield, and it's incomplete. Christian Robarge was the intended receiver. I think Andy just threw that one away.
Sullivan's pass is incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 4 for the Wildcats.
Jason Marquardt checks in. Third and 4 for the Wildcats. Sullivan keeps it himself, and he's going to be a yard short of the first down, brought down at the 46-yard line of Bedford. Going to bring up 4th and 1, and now there's a penalty marker on the play, and it's going to be against Bedford. And I don't know, it has to be unsportsmanlike conduct or something, because it was after the play was over, and the official targeted number 34. It was Ryan Lobo. I don't know if he said something, but he was nowhere near any of the play. Unsportsmanlike call on Bedford is going to set them back 15 yards and result in the Wilmington first down. Going to bring the ball down inside the 30-yard line to the 29. So a big break for the Wildcats, and an unfortunate turn of events actually brings it out to the 31-yard line. So one of those unfortunate things, something is either said or done on the field of play that violates one of the rules. So Wildcats get another set of downs, first down at the 31. Fake the handoff to Marino, pass is complete to an open Benoit who scampers, keeps going, he's inside the 20, he's still going, and he's finally brought down at the 18-yard line. Benoit made about 8 yards of that on his own. Of course, Connor is a multi-sport star here at the high school, captain of the hockey team as well. Good, solid two-way player for the Wildcats, as he showed last year as well. Want to thank Tim Albert and the staff here at the high school and the school department for allowing us to go live tonight on a Friday night lights here at Wilmington High School. 1st and 10 for the Wildcats. Hand off to Marino, who cuts back, and he's good for a gain of another 5 yards inside the 15-yard line. He's brought down at the 14. Like Nick Coleman is now the center for the Wildcats, spelling Dean Nally. Marino takes the handoff. They kind of carried it together there for a couple of yards. Little or no gain.
Marino carries for a short gain. Third down and 5.
Ball is still at the 13-yard line of Bedford. 3rd and 5. Nick is a senior, number 73 on the offensive and defensive line. Stepped in and done a good job so far since he's been in here. Passes to Benoit, shifts, looks like he's going to break free, and he's going to be inside the 10, and looks like he might have enough for another first down. Yeah, he needed the 8. Looks like he's down at the 7, so it's going to be another first down and goal for the Wildcats. Nicely designed, quick hitter to Connor Benoit in the slot. He was able to make up the 7 yards on his own. And we get close to Bedford touchdown territory. Fake out to Marino. Man is open. Bailey Smith is in for a touchdown. 7-yard touchdown pass to the slot man, Bailey Smith, who took the pass. Dives in the end zone, and the Wildcats are up 34-10. So Adam Bishop in to attempt his 5th point after attempt tonight in the hold of Tristan Champa, backup quarterback. Tristan's a junior. The snap, ball is down, and it is up, and it is good. 5th in a row tonight. Once again, the defensive back for the Bedford, Tyler Dussault, almost blocked that. He was in there, but Bishop was able to get the kick up and over. Wildcats are out there, 35-10 lead with 6:34 to go in the game. I'm quite sure that head coach Craig Turner and his staff are going to be very happy with the way the offense has played tonight. Especially the play of Andy Sullivan, who has done a very nice job passing for 4 touchdowns. Bailey Smith gets on the scoreboard. Of course, he probably just wants to make sure that his brother doesn't get all the glory. So it's time for Bailey to take a turn in the spotlight. So Adam Bishop is ready to kick off for the Wildcats again. See what kind of kick we use here. 3 deep men for Bedford, all lined up between the 20 and the 25-yard line. Bishop kicks it long and deep downfield, taken at the 12 or 13-yard line by the deep man, who runs it back out to the 32-yard line. Can't make out the number yet. So Bedford takes over at their own 33-yard line. Devin Clerico comes in as a cornerback, number 26 on the near side of the field. Wouldn't be surprised if Craig Turner starts to let a few younger guys get a little bit of action. Campanitis calls signals, one in the backfield, a handoff up the middle. And a stop for little or no gain to Tyler Dussault. So it's going to be 2nd and 8 for Bedford. Just see Pat McAndrew scamper off the field. One thing is Bedford takes a while getting these plays set up. There's a new quarterback in. It was intended and intercepted now by Robarge, who brings it back to the 40-yard line, inside down almost to the 30-yard line. Little trickery there. Greg Cormier was in a quarterback for Bedford. The ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. It was intended for Campanitis, and it was picked up by Christian Robarge, who returned it about 20 yards down to the 30-yard line.
Wallet was found. We have it up in the booth here. The owner is Timothy R. Steele of Cambridge. Please come to the announcer booth to reclaim your wallet.
So the Wildcats take over again as they continue to pour on to drown the Buccaneers. Okay, there's a timeout by Wilmington, and I think we're going to see a lot of fresh bodies on the field here for the last 5.5 minutes of the game. Great job on both sides of the ball by Wilmington. Bedford showed a little bit of fire and fury toward the end of the second quarter, but it's been all Wilmington here in the second half, and they have the ball back again. So now my work will be cut out for me as I try to pick up the numbers of the underclassmen and younger guys that are getting into the game. Okay, Joe DeMonico is going to be in the backfield. Joe's only a junior, coming back for an injury. And Tristan Champer is in at quarterback, number 21 for the Wildcats, his first action. Handoff around the right side is for Steve Smolinski, who's taken down in the backfield, loss of a couple of yards. Smolinski was playing over in the slot. Another kid that is very young, only a sophomore, and I know Coach Turner expects big things from him. 2nd and 13 for the Wildcats. It's like James McCarron is out split wide to the left. Inside handoff goes to DeMonico for a gain of maybe a yard, maybe no gain. Looks like Marcello Mizuraka is in the game now as a wide receiver, number 40. Smolinski comes out. Once again, McCarron splits out wide to the left. Mizuraka split wide to the right. Back to pass is Champa. Lets the ball go, and it's going to be incomplete. Intended for Mizuraka down by the 30-yard line. A lot of pressure on Champa to let go of the ball. So it brings up 4th down for the Wildcats. 4:21 to go in the game, and it looks like the punt team will come in. And that also looks like a lot of young numbers getting some game experience here. Colin Rooney into kick, standing at the Bedford 48-yard line. Last one was blocked. This one's a high snap. He does get it away downfield, and it's going to be down very close to the end zone, but it goes into the end zone for a touchback. Ball will come out to the 20-yard line. Good kick that time by Rooney. Good attempts downfield by Devin Clerico and Kyle Kenyon to keep the ball out of the end zone. Ball bounced at the 10, bounced into the end zone. So Bedford once again will take over 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. 4 minutes and 11 seconds left in tonight's game. Wildcats still hold the 35-10 lead. Okay, looks like Greg Cormier has come into quarterback for the Buccaneers now. He's a left-hander, hands off up the middle. Running back gets a little bit of room, number 42. That's Zach Poor on the carry.
Zach Moore on the carry for the Bucks. And 3, second down and 7.
2nd and 7 for Bedford. Mizuraka, number 40, lined up on defense, along with Devin Clerico on the right side for the Wildcats. Cormier hands off. Number 42, who runs it upfield, finds good running room. Zach Poor is out to the 38-yard line for Bedford. Brings up the first down. Another fake handoff. Yeah, but he's wrapped up for about a gain of a yard and a half. Once again, Cormier on the fake handoff, kept the ball. Looks like Mizuraka in on the play. Dan Ings, a junior, is in on defense now. Kyle Valley, another junior, number 20. He's lined up at the right outside linebacker position. Cormier looks to the sideline as the clock continues to tick. 1 minute and 54 seconds left in the game. In a shotgun formation, one man in the backfield, inside handoff, and once again tackled for a little or no gain, stopped at the 40-yard line by a host of Wilmington tacklers on the defense. Andy O'Brien, a sophomore, number 63, checks into the game.
Shane Roberts on tackle for the Wildcats.
Back to pass now downfield. Man is open, and it's caught down at the 20-yard line. Nice gain by the Bucks as time starts to tick down. Nick Sullivan, another defensive sophomore, defensive lineman, is in the game for the Wildcats. Cormier back to pass. He's being chased, and he's sacked in the backfield. Kyle Valley in on him.
Kyle Valley in on the sack for the Wildcats.
Loss of about 7 yards on the play. Back to the 26-yard line. I think we're inside a minute. This is excruciating when you're waiting to try to get a quick play in. It just takes so long to develop coming from the sideline. Cormier back to pass. He throws the ball downfield. It is complete. Down inside just outside the 10-yard line, 11-yard line.
Cormier's pass complete to Brendan Spalding. First down.
Cormier back to pass again, lets it go, and it's incomplete this time. That was intended for Brendan Jones, one of the, well, no, I guess it was not Brendan Jones. It was number 3 on your scorecard, Adam Legier, sophomore wide receiver. Even though Jones is still in there, number 2. We're showing 14 seconds on the clock here. Don't know if that's the official time on the field. Cormier has a man in motion. The snap is fumbled. Pressure is on. He lets the ball go, and it is incomplete. Intended for Brendan Jones down at the 4 or 5-yard line. So 3rd and goal again from the 10 or 11-yard line. Make that I'm not sure. I'm looking at the field here, and things don't look quite the way they do on the field. There's official timeout, and who's calling it? Looks like one of the Wilmington players is down at the 10-yard line, one of their cornerbacks. So the officials have called timeout. It's like Devin Clerico, he's up on his own, but they're going to bring him right in the locker room to take a look at him. So, Kyle Kenyon's little brother, number 99. Bill Kenyon comes into the game on the defensive line. I got no idea who's out there now, folks, but it says 3rd down and goal. Handoff is inside. Host of tacklers still trying to bring the running back down. Zach Poor had the ball. Clock ticks down to 0, and that's the game, folks. So, a successful opening night at home for the Wildcats tonight. Wildcats come away with a very hard-fought but a very satisfying 35-10 victory here at Alumni Field. Thank you for joining us on Wilmington Community Television. Our first live broadcast will be back here in 3 weeks for the next home game. We hope again you get involved in WCTV. Final score again for the final time. Wilmington 35, Bedford 10. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.